folks from people that said, please send me the recording. They had some, they want to participate. They want the content of our discussion today, which is really important. But the timing at 10 o'clock, I thought this timing would work. We've experimented with these Zooms early in the morning, middle of the day, end of the day. So we'll just give it one more minute and then we'll get started. So thanks for your patience, everybody. Pete Cirillo, have you hit the golf ball yet?
Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit out there. How about you?
I played on Saturday. I felt like I just played golf for the first time in my life. My body hurt big time on Sunday. My wife said to me, "What's the problem? Why are you walking around like an old man?" I was like, "I'm a little creaky today. I played golf yesterday and walked 18 and it felt great, but the next day I'm out of shape, buddy. I'm out of golf shape."
Walking's good. You're always a walker too.
I am.
Sally, how are you?
All right, here we go, folks. We're gonna get going. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in and logging in with us today. We decided to do a special edition of. Wait, I'm gonna hit the record button. We'll do that again. Is it recording already? Yeah. Okay. So thanks for being with us, everybody. A special edition of Tourism Talks as part of our Tourism Advisory Council. This is a session that was just by invitation to those that are members, stakeholders of our CVB and Chamber here at the Meadowlands Live CVB and the Meadowlands Chamber. We had a couple of very interesting guests. We're excited to talk to you about some information that the MLCVB and the Chamber is embarked on today. So first of all, I want to say to you, just as a human and as somebody that's gone through all of this, the trials and tribulations of the last 14 months, is we feel your pain. We understand how hard it's been. It's been a chore. Back in March of 2020, I wasn't so sure the Chamber and the CVB would be talking to you at this point in time today, a little over a year later. We were just unsure. There was so much uncertainty in the world. And I got to tell you that, while our team is pivoted and is a little bit smaller than we were, we are equally as determined and even more so determined to both succeed on the advocacy on the Chamber side and more importantly on building this destination into something that's really dynamic here in the Meadowlands. So I am happy to report to you that the organization is stable and live and well. We are as committed as ever. The Chamber's board of directors are even more committed to both the Chamber and the CVB in our efforts to grow this region as a destination. I think there's a whole bunch of positives. You can see our friend Lauren Fundler at Spring Hill Suites is showing the construction site of a new property right here in the heart of the Meadowlands across from the complex. There's a number of new properties in the region. American Dream had reported outstanding attendance this past weekend at American Dream, even at 50% occupancy. And we know that area hotels have already started to see the impact of that particular product, even in its partial state of only having 140 tenants on the retail side, and all of its destination and attraction stuff still to come. Water park, amusement park, ice skating rink, mini golf, all of those things, big snow, the ski dome, that's open and are drawing lines. Sea Life, Aquarium, and Lego Discovery open up in a few weeks, middle of May, and it will continue to roll. And we think that the region is positioned for greatness. We just have to strategically market the region and make sure that people understand. This year in 2021, we'll be focusing on a drive market. I'm going to turn this over to Ron Simoncini in a few minutes to talk a little bit about what we're doing here at the MLCVB. And then we have two really exciting speakers today. We've looked for different ways to do lead generation, and we've partnered with a company called Science. You're going to hear from Max Pittman about how Science operates and how we're going to generate leads for our stakeholders and the things that they do. And then we have a bright young woman, Emily, from Tripadvisor, is going to talk a little bit about trends that Tripadvisor is seeing out there in the world. And we hope this information today will be really valuable to you. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ron Simoncini, who's the president of Axiom Communications. They've been handling our marketing and PR for the MLCVB since our inception. And Ron, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Jimmy. Hey, welcome everybody. A lot of old friends on this call that we haven't had a chance to convene with in a long time, at least with any sincere desire to market, and it feels really good to be on the lip of being able to do something live again and have our results mean something. So no need to really go into the pause that we all took. We were just about to launch a program called Live and Kicking last year, which was intended to take advantage of the opening of American Dream and of the sort of very strong tourism market that we saw in 2019, in 2020, and obviously we pulled back from that and saved our powder for another day. And that day is today. So we, over that time, what we've looked at is obviously, what's the reemergence point? Where does it make sense to start investing outbound marketing dollars is something that we were very cautious about. And while we were doing that, we looked at how travel trends were going to change our world and what that meant for our previous marketing strategy, how we needed to update that and create something a little evolved from where we were. And it's not the first time we've done this as a CVB. If we go back, there have been 4 or 5 different opportunities that we've had to respond to technology evolutions, to marketing evolutions, to changes in the offerings in our region, to changes in the ways that we're funded. And all those things led us to different places that, had different varying levels of success, certainly. But through it all, we've been the region's brand manager, and that's a role that we will continue to take. So within that, we've created a new web program. So Michael Goals from my office here is taking you through that now. So our website has come to focus much more on film. It's come to focus much more on creating specials and reasons for people to come to the site, and activations for our membership, so that because you're offering something different and special from the CVB website, the CVB's marketing campaign provides you with a differentiation and an advantage. And that's something that you'll see in the website that we have here. There are a couple of different banners and call outs that drive attention to our Live and Kicking program, which we've reinvented in order to launch now. So those of you who are in hotels, we need you to go back to your special rating and create a new rate for us if you expired your old rate in the Live and Kicking campaign. Live and Kicking campaign is very hotel focused. It intends to provide the visitor with impetus to visit the region at a discount. It's harder for us to do that with attractions and other destinations and restaurants in the region because they're just too amorphous, and it's impossible for us to really find a ticketing or discounting mechanism to be able to apply. But from the hotel point of view, where all of your rates are online, we definitely think that a special MLCVB rate is necessary and is something that will be rewarded. So that's part of where the web relaunch program is. But the real web evolution is more strategic. We've updated all of our plugins. We've got a new version of WordPress working. We've gone through all of the database issues and cleaned up a lot of stuff there. And so our ability to drive a visitor to a specific customer through a search on the site, I think, is improved beyond where it's been in quite some time. So from a programming overview point of view, what does all that mean? We're going to have to focus on driving customers for a while. While the world ended in a week, it's not going to come back in a week, right? So we see a lot of positive signs for American Dream. It's not going to be anywhere near where its projections were for this period in time. It's going to gradually come back. Hotel occupancy will gradually come back. The ability to do events will gradually come back. We want to be here first in order that anybody who's thinking about those things, from a family event to a business meeting to an outing for an entertainment opportunity at the sports complex or American Dream, that we're here to facilitate that in front of where other regions might be. Now, there are some marketing campaigns you've seen on TV already, and there are people who are trying to drive brand, trying to drive customer, but the uptake isn't there yet. And with our limited budget, we've waited a little bit.
Ronnie, can I ask you to pause a second? Excuse me, everybody, can you hear us okay? Can you hear Ron okay? Yes?
Yes.
Sorry.
Not as good as you, Jim. He sounds a little bit further away.
That's because the microphone's this direction.
Okay, but I'm going to switch the microphones. Keep talking. I'm going to switch the microphones.
So we think that these next two American Dream attractions are a good trigger point for us. Our web program is ready, and we have a couple of, I'll speak a little bit later, programs that we've engaged and will activate right now that will help us drive that early traveler, that drive-in traveler, and maybe some of the fly-in travelers to destinations in the Meadowlands. New York City, of course, is always our driver. New York City has not encouraged a recovery yet in its travel department. It will. But in the meantime, there are people who need to come here who haven't been here for a long time. And we think it's an opportunity for us to welcome them to our region when they might have stayed in New York previously. That's always been part of our strategy, is to provide that alternative to New York that's either more convenient or has a greater value proposition, or both. So that's something that we're going to create as we relaunch this thing, using those American Dream openings coming in May as our trigger point. So that covers the consumer retail drive-in trip customer, good weekend business. What are we doing about the weekday and about recovering our business travel? We went out back in December and we did an audit of all the folks who were serving the travel industry in any meaningful way to drive group travel business. So we've previously did a lot of that through visits to conventions. We'd go to different conferences across the country, powwow, et cetera, and we would engage there and create group travel opportunities and sales with the customers that were at those conferences, and that proved relatively effective. We've got some friends from North Star on, and they also have created different event platforms that were very helpful to us in driving that business. As we did our audit, though, and we looked at the technology available and we looked at how people are driving customers and creating that group business, we saw some folks who were doing some interesting things in terms of lead generation. We recognize that the lead generation process is very specialized, and it's something that needs a continual, persistent program. And so we interviewed a number of different providers for our lead generation in that realm, people who go out, scour the marketplace, cultivate leads, and then generate propositions and proposals with us for those folks. And we've come up with what we think is a really interesting, innovative means of engaging a third party whose business is to know where those prospective customers are, and to feed them through us and drive them to our website and directly to our customers, in particular hotels. So we'll hear from Max Pittman a little bit later from Science on how his firm has been engaged by us and what their programming will be. We've also reinvented our CVent relationship, and I know Emily, who Jimmy mentioned before, is here to talk to us a little bit about that, and Pete Suriello from North Star is also here, and we've got a really dynamic North Star presence this year, all intended to drive that meeting business as it picks up. So we can't pinpoint the precise moment when that's going to come back. I know you all are already seeing some indications that people are interested in planning, if not booking things, there's going to be a wave of that at some point. At some point, everybody's going to decide they all need to do it at once. We're going to be here when that happens. So that sort of is our strategic, platform right now, is continue to use our website to brand the region, continue to be strong with our Google search engine program, continue to buy strategically through CVent and others, eyeballs that drive traffic to the region for those, what I'll call smaller visitor customers, retail customers. On the big business side, we have decided that this outbound effort that we can engage through specialists is prospectively the best investment that we can make. And so rather than concentrate on 6 or 7 events per year, we're going to have a consistent, continual effort in business generation and solicitation through third parties. And then we've got our marketing campaign, which will center around Live and Kicking. We're going to use that branding. We like it. We've got a special platform on the website that allows hotels to create individual rates. Those rates will appear highly promoted, and something that we'll be using with our partners at the Sports Complex, American Dream, and elsewhere to create sort of this energy around the CVBs being used as a housing bureau. And so in our world, publicity, of course, is one of the strengths of my firm, and our plan here is to be strategic and tactical around tying ourselves to things that happen at the Sports Complex, including American Dream, as we always have done, but also to create additional energy around why the Meadowlands is in a particularly great position right now, especially relative to New York, as we come out of this moribund travel sort of situation that we've been in. So hold your questions for me till the end. Let's hear from the folks that we have who are going to make their presentations on how they'll be serving us this year, and appreciate your attention for a few minutes. And this is going to be a good recovery for us. So I'm glad you're all here with us, and we look forward to a great year.
Thank you, Ronnie. Let me also say that I feel rather bullish about what's going on for a number of reasons, and I think it's important for the stakeholders to understand is that this MLCVB did get the highest amount of money we ever have from our competitive grant program through the New Jersey Office of Travel and Tourism this year. So as we go into this, our marketing outbound budget has allowed us to do a few new things here, and that's why we're excited. I am excited about our first speaker, who's going to be joining us right now, Max Pittman from Science, because this organization, we've never embarked on an outbound lead generation campaign to augment what we've done. We recognize that some of the bigger shows that are out there, some of which will remain virtual for the rest of 21. Some may be in the latter part of the year, maybe fourth quarter, might be in person, but that may not pick up until 2022. So we don't want to wait around to be swimming after the wave. I like to say, I want to be on the wave. When the wave comes, riding it, I don't want to be swimming to catch it. And I believe that our decisions with everyone, and I want to make a quick correction. Emily is with Tripadvisor and not CVent.
Oh, I'm sorry, Emily.
We do have a CVent subscription, and we are working with North Star. Pete Cirillo from North Star is here. We have the science program. We're going to re-engage with Tripadvisor. That's why Emily and her team are back with us today. We're not going to leave any stone unturned. As we uncover. I also want to bring attention to Kelsey Sarrow, who on our team. Kelsey, wave to everybody. I think everybody already knows you. Kelsey is our tourism coordinator here at MLCVB, and it's going to be the main point, working with all of the entities that we've talked about. We've had a couple of really productive setup calls with the team at Science, one just yesterday. We're really excited about their ability to deliver for us. And I think that's a perfect intro to bring on Max Pittman. Max is going to remain off camera today. He had a little dental work done in the last couple of days, but he is with us fighting through it. And Max, I appreciate you fighting through that and being with us for a little bit. At the conclusion, feel free to log off and take care of yourself. But thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, great to be here, and we're excited to partner with the Meadowlands for sure. It's been a journey for sure. I met Mike back, Mike, when did we meet? Probably like right in the thick of it, probably like August last year, something like that, right?
Yeah, right around September, maybe mid-September.
Yeah. So we're excited to be a part of the organization, and it sounds like it's a really exciting time. I mean, it is. I'm in San Diego, and I'll tell you what, like I've seen a lot of tourism here for sure, because I'm being a local, living by the beach. There's a wide array of people that we're seeing travel here for spring break, and I'm assuming you're going to start seeing a lot more of that in the New York Meadowlands area as well. Yeah, it just sounds like I feel like America's back, or we're getting there finally. I know we're all anxious to move forward for sure. But yeah, I'll kind of dive into who we are and what we do at Science, and how we approach outbound B2B lead generation. So just a quick background on Science for those of you who don't know who we are. We've been around since 2015, so we're not too old of a company, but we're one of the largest, if not the largest, lead generation organization in the space, where we focus on outbound B2B opportunity creation. We're a global organization. As I mentioned, I'm in San Diego. This is where our headquarters is. Our executive team and our marketing team make up our biggest footprint here in San Diego, but we have worldwide offices as well. And we've been able to grow our company to about 850 people as of today. And since we have this global footprint that we take advantage of, our company is really founded to do a few things and capitalize on a number of trends. And really the first that we believe deeply in is sales specialization. The sales role, this day and age, you really need to allow people to focus on specific roles within the sales function versus one person doing everything, in my opinion. And so we think that being able to chop this sales role up into discrete parts can allow for efficiency and effectiveness. And we think we're going to only see more specialization when it comes to sales moving forward. And that's really one of the hallmarks of our packages and how we think about a go-to-market. And we actually have provided specialization first just by providing research. Research is, I think, one of the most important pieces of having high quality lead generation, which is ensuring that we have the right people to target, the right business owners, the right individuals, the right decision makers at the right businesses with the right contact information. All of those pieces are extremely important to having a successful campaign. Because if you don't have the right data, you don't have the right people in the cadence, if we're targeting the wrong people, the wrong businesses, then it's not going to convert to dollars in your bottom line downstream. So research is at the core of what we do. And that's something that we've been taking into account when it comes to the Meadowlands, and ensuring that, we get you guys in front of the right associations. We get you guys in front of the right businesses that can come in and use the event space, and also stay in the hotels, right? And obviously, check out those attractions. So we're really focused on that B2B outreach into the B2B research, and finding you decision makers and business owners, and operations people that focus on events. We're going to be looking at a wide array of titles to get your name and your logo, and what the Meadowlands is doing and how you guys are growing in front of the right people in the right space. So research is at the core of what we do. And then from there, we take it a step further, and we start doing outbound messaging. The messaging that we're doing, more or less is we're going to do a multi-channel outreach approach that's going to be managed by an assigned person on the account who's going to be focused every day at building out the campaign. So we focus on email-based outreach. Email is really at the core of what we do. It's a less barrier to entry, and if it's done right and if it's personalized right, it can really convert. So we've seen the majority of our touch points are going to be, probably about 65 to 70% of our touch points are going to be over outbound emailing, where we're getting your name, your logo, in a personalized way in front of these prospects. We also utilize outbound calling. Obviously, calling is a channel that is still being executed on. We absolutely want to continue to call prospects. We typically will do that, after the first touch point, or after the second touch point via email. That way, we can ensure like people have seen your logo, seen your email come through. So when they get a call from, this branded message from the Meadowlands, that, they're going to recognize that name and that logo. We'll also focus on other channels as well, such as social. Simply via social, we want to get in front of prospects via like LinkedIn. We can also do Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We can do DMing there. But mainly we're trying to utilize that as like a social media network as it's intended for. We're not placing ads. We're mainly less trying to connect, follow, and message prospects.
Hey,
And
Max, let me interrupt you just for a quick second.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's important, if I can just interject here, guys, we're gonna need your help as we go through this process, especially the hotels, because this is primarily aimed at reaching customers to get them to the region and stay. There's going to be some times when we are talking. Sally Altman has been incredibly helpful. We had a couple of setup calls with Sally and the science team and Kelsey led that to really help the science team understand who would be the buyers, right? Who are we talking about? We have to understand that the MLCVP is in a sales support role for the most part, right? Our job is to help identify those groups that come in, and then many of the times we take those leads, we turn them over to you for you to close, right? For you to take on. Kelsey is going to be the depository of everything that comes in from Max's team at Science, and then we're going to dispense those leads to our stakeholders. Sometimes it will require a conversation on our part so that we better understand what the buyer needs. And then other times we're going to connect the buyer or the tour operator or the group meeting planner or whatever that Science is helping us reach. We're going to deliver that information to you. We want to do what's right by the buyer, right? We want to give them a good experience, but we also have to understand the resources at the MLCVP right now. So that's why this third-party strategy that Axiom has come up with for us is, I think, so brilliant for us to be able to be effective. So thanks, Max.
Yeah, of course. Yep, makes sense. And one of the cool pieces about science that I love to challenge our clients with, such as yourself, is like, obviously we want to help in providing you guys with the right people at the right companies. But if there's other data points that are out there that we could potentially research as well, such as, how many people are part of this association? How many new members do they have? If we're looking at, new businesses, like how fast are they growing? How fast is their sales team growing? Do they have anything posted on their site potentially about, like events that they've hosted? Because if we can identify that as like sales intelligence, we can go into these conversations with prospects already knowing like X, Y, and Z about these organizations. We can kind of lead into that, that message with them, since we can show these prospects we know who they are. And I think really that's one of our differentiators, is that we do this from a human perspective. This is all bespoke, human curated contact data that we're able to source through our own researchers at Science, versus us utilizing, another, third-party service, data provider and pawning that off as our data. Because we have our own researchers, we have our own humans that are doing this research for us. And we provide accuracy and we provide sales intelligence, and we utilize this data for two reasons. The first of which is to make sure people are qualified, make sure that we get the right businesses into the right pipelines, and also to ensure, that we can use this as personalization. If there's a way that we can call out who this person is or what they do or what this company does within our messaging or within our outreach, it's going to give us the best opportunity to show these prospects we know who they are, we understand their situation. But hey, don't forget about Meadowlands. Like, this is such a cool place. Like, I want to come visit. I'll tell you that. Like, I definitely want to come check out this indoor ski area. I'm a huge snowboarder. I want to obviously come see a football game there and see some concerts. Like, I want to get people excited. And I think that's what our goal here is to like help people understand, like, look, we're open for business, right? We're going to be utilizing the same messaging you guys have on the website. And it's really our job to focus on bringing customers into the hotels. We want you guys to be top of mind when they have meetings and events. And we're going to help in providing you guys with, hopefully opportunities with business and drive net new people who are interested in planning and booking over the fence to you guys. So then, you can do all the fun stuff and bring them in.
That's good. That's awesome, Max. And I got to tell you, yesterday in one of our setup calls that we were having with the team at Science, I said to our project manager at Science, one of my concerns, which is really a great concern, is I want to be able to handle the volume of leads that you're sending into us, and I'm concerned about that, and that's a great problem to have. And so you know, Kelsey was looking at it, was like, Jim, how are we gonna handle all of this? If science is as good as we think they are, how am I gonna disseminate all this lead? How do we handle this block of business? I says, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna call Sally and Mathis and Kelly and Lauren, and they're gonna help us. They're gonna help us figure it out because we're a small team and we'll do that. That's a good problem to have. We're smart enough to figure out how to handle the leads. That should be our biggest problem, is how to handle all the new business that science is helping us come in. That combined with all of our other marketing efforts for North Star and Cvent and Tripadvisor and everything else we're doing, our website, we're like I said, we're trying to position ourselves for that. I also want to say Max is a little shy about talking about how good science is. And it's a very, very sophisticated process. That's why I'm so convinced that they're going to be really successful on our behalf. The questions that they're asking, the level of detail as to who our buyers are, the titles of the people from the meetings industry, from the tour operating industry, right, from the group business industry, all of those, from the conferences, all of those things tell me that they have a knowledge of how to drill down into that marketplace for whatever industry sector they're working on behalf of their client, in this case, us, and really find the buyers, put out some good messaging. And more importantly, some will be buying right now, and some of it is just good messaging so that when they're ready to buy, they come to us, right? Yeah. And we're setting the tone for buying now and buying in the future, and just making sure that everybody knows all the stuff that we have in our region, all the destination assets, all the great places to stay, all the great things to do, all the great places to eat, etc. And that's our job. That's the job of the MLCVB, and that's why you're invested with us to do that. And so we augment what you do individually as a region, and that's our role. So let's, Max, are you okay to stay with us to take questions when we're done with Emily, or do you need to jump off?
No, I'm good, guys. I'm here.
Okay, terrific. Thank you for hanging with us. I'm going to turn this over to Kelsey Sarro from our team, and Kelsey's going to talk to you a little bit about MLCVB and then introduce Emily from Tripadvisor. It's all you, Kels.
Thank you, Jim. Hi. So for those that don't know me, but I believe I've met most of you that are on this call, I'm Kelsey Sarro, and I'm the tourism coordinator for the MLCVB and the Chamber. Also, thank you, Max, for that presentation and providing some insight on what science will do for us. We're really excited to get started and work with you guys and provide this to all of our stakeholders. As Jim said before, I will be your main point of contact for any leads that are generated through science, but I'm also here to help you for anything CVB related, including your listing on our website, company calendar events, and so on. But now I would like to introduce our next speaker, Tripadvisor's Senior DMO Client Partner, Emily Berlanti. If you have any questions, save them for the end, but you can also put them in the chat and we'll answer them afterwards. So welcome, Emily. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I do have some slides to share, but before I just threw my slides up, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for having me. I am just across the river. I'm located now in Brooklyn. So it's so nice to meet you all. I frequent Meadowlands often, especially, of course, prior to 2020. So just appreciate you guys having me. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Kelsey and I practiced this yesterday to make sure that I did it correctly. So, oops.
Emily, while you're doing that, next time you venture across the river to the Meadowlands, you got to let us know so we can take you to lunch and we can show you our visitor center and show you our space.
I would absolutely love that, of course. I'm very excited, to be quite honest, to start kind of like getting out and about. So I will definitely take you up on that. So I did have a video that I wanted to share, but I'm just worried of it not working properly. So I'm just gonna bypass it, if that's all right with you guys. So as Kelsey,
you can always, Emily, if it doesn't work, we'll just say, hey, it doesn't work, and stop it then. If it's something you think we should save, obviously I should see it because I should know you're from Tripadvisor, not CVET. So maybe that'll be a good start for me too.
Okay, I'll share it. It's a fun video, good for our new branding. So let's see if it works. If it doesn't work, I can see everybody. So just kind of like wave your hand, but it should work. Let's see. No sound?
Sounds good. We can hear it.
Oh, good. Okay.
Three travel hacks to share with you guys.
So many people are wanting hard rides. I just seen the guys hitchhiking in Byron Bay. That's where we're going. Is there? You're coming from Mexico. That's legend.
Because people really should and do trust the reviews that are on Tripadvisor.
This is so crazy good. Wait, can I just get from my hand here? No. Wait, this is disgusting.
Okay, don't want to play that again. Great. So that kind of just gives you, a sense of Tripadvisor as a whole. Hopefully it makes you feel kind of good inside. And to say that these have been difficult times this past year, as Jim says, 14 months, has been highly an understatement. So, but throughout this crazy year, there has remained a cause for hope, signs of positivity, and consumers' unrelenting passion for travel. So I'm excited to kind of take you guys through a lot of these trends that we're seeing. So look at what we're planning on covering this morning. We'll start with a very quick look back at 2020. We'll also explore what consumers are telling us about how they're feeling, and most importantly, what they're planning when it comes to travel this year. And we'll also discuss our new Travel Safe initiative. So throughout 2020 and today, we've relied on two things at Tripadvisor to guide us and our destination partners. First, ongoing surveys of travelers to understand what they're thinking and how they're feeling. And secondly, we've relied on our own on-site data on what travelers are actually doing. And that last part's really important because Tripadvisor's position as the world's largest travel site has only grown over the last year, 68% larger than the next closest travel site. And at sites like Expedia and hotels.com, they're getting as much as 30% of their traffic through Tripadvisor. And in order to ensure we're getting a nice global picture and remain consistent with our comparison studies, we track consumer sentiments in 6 countries across the globe. So as you're viewing the following data, just make sure you're keeping that in mind. So moving ahead to looking back at 2020. As many of you guys experienced, consumers still traveled last year. Sure, business travel, group travel, and meetings and conventions totally fell off the cliff, but local tourism, being a tourist in your own town, was critical to propping up local businesses. And importantly, as we see here, 77% of consumers took at least one trip that involved a night away from home domestically. In fact, a full 25% of domestic travelers took 3 or more trips. And as we look into this year ahead, we continue to see signs of improvement in both consumer confidence and travel plans. In the most recent wave of our consumer sentiment study, nearly half of consumers told us they're more comfortable traveling this year than last. And all that travel planning and dreaming is driving tons of positive emotions, with consumers associating happiness and excitement most with travel in 2021. And customers are looking for more positive messaging to pair with their excitement. Knowing this gives you the opportunity to not only make sure that this next visit is the best visit for those travelers, but for you to build customer loyalty and start planting the seeds for when we're all staying a little bit closer to home. But importantly, it also relates to what consumers are telling us they want to be hearing from you guys right now, with 95% of respondents indicating they want to hear more positive messages and 81% who want to be hearing more heartfelt stories. So this is a great opportunity to harness that happiness that the travelers are feeling, to showcase maybe your staff or even share testimonials. But don't let that fool you, because 75% of consumers still want to hear about discounts. But if we've learned anything from past downturns, we shouldn't be going too overboard, or it'll take you guys a long time to restore your rates. And a key learning from the past year is that travel planning may well be forever changed, and it has implications for your business that we'll continue to uncover. Not least of these, though, are consumers' intentions to spend more time doing the things we take for granted in the travel planning process, with most time, about 74%, being spent on deciding where to visit, followed closely by selecting accommodations and attractions, and with recent reviews playing an increasingly important role. So looking ahead to 2021 and some of what we're seeing for accommodations, attractions, restaurants, and even retail sectors. We know that consumers are spending more time travel planning. I had just mentioned that. And 74% indicate that they do plan to travel domestically this year, and 21% having already booked a trip. That means if we exclude the 10% who aren't planning to travel and the 16% who aren't sure, 53% of your potential travelers haven't booked their travel yet. And when we drill down to when they plan to travel, we see that's not dissimilar from pre-pandemic, with that steady rise in May running through early September, a dip through autumn, and then a sharp spike as we head through the holidays. And something that I want to note too, I forget who actually mentioned it, but we're going to see this progression of travel as we move through this year. And it's being top of mind that our partners are really focused on, because for the past year, we've been trying to think about where we want to visit. And, those partners who are advertising are that first destination potentially that our travelers are thinking about going when they can get out because of this pent-up demand. So moving ahead though, for the full year kind of scope of where we are right now, we do see recovery in late spring, but it's not until the back half of the year that we start to see real movement, especially in terms of international travel. So getting into accommodations. While vacation rentals represented 21% of accommodation choices made in 2020, traditional forms of lodging comprise a healthy 69% of overall accommodation selection. And that trend remains fairly consistent in 2021, with hostels, other, and none of the above declining by 3 points. And kind of circling back to that happiness, I'm happy to report that consumers are spending more on travel than ever before. Sure, when we were not traveling, we weren't dining out and we were going to the movies less, we were probably investing more in our homes and new hobbies. But apparently we were also stocking away money to blow on travel as soon as we could. Because having sacrificed vacation time in 2020, people really want to make this year count. That means leveling up travel plans by spending more on luxury stays and destinations. But certainly one of the factors that was key to travelers for 2020 and will continue to be the case for the foreseeable future was health and safety practices, Not surprisingly, 92% of respondents say cleanliness is paramount in determining where they'll stay, while travel insurance and discounts achieved high scores as well. And proximity to home is also very important for 2 out of 4 travelers. And as we turn to the restaurant sector, we see a strong commitment among consumers to support local businesses, restaurants, and retailers, even when they're traveling. And this is a great opportunity for others in the industry, like hotels and attractions, to showcase their partners within the community. Recovery for these businesses is improving. We're seeing consumers eating indoors at restaurants more often. In fact, 82% of consumers report they have dined in person at restaurants indoors in the last 6 months. And equally important and good news is that nearly half of consumers indicate that they intend to do more so in this next year.
No. Wait.
Is there a question?
Wrong place. I'm sorry about that.
No? Okay. So we're going to get into our Travel Safe initiative, because back in June, what we realized is the most top of mind for travelers as they're dining and staying at hotels is really safety. Safety will be essential to continuing this recovery that we're currently on, and it's going to be a key driver, if not, a destination selection that's going to be important, for your businesses and visitors as they're visiting in general. So some insights that I've shared and many others that we've gathered over the first few months of the pandemic. Tripadvisor worked with numerous groups, including the American Hotel and Lodging Association, the World Travel and Tourism Council, US Travel, and many others to inform our Travel Safe initiative, which, as I mentioned, launched in June. And a driving force behind this initiative is the fact that 65% of respondents to our ongoing studies indicated that they won't travel until they see physical changes that make them feel safer. And 3/4 indicated a checklist of safety measures included as part of our listings would be extremely helpful. So because of all this information, we rolled out our Travel Safe initiative with 2 primary goals in mind: putting travelers' minds at ease and restoring their confidence in the ability to travel safely, and also supporting our partners and the industry as a whole and highlighting the practices that they've implemented. And you can see here, for any businesses in Meadowlands, I highly recommend going to your owner's site. And there's some information on Travel Safe there and how to make sure that your listing is listed as a Travel Safe listing. This is something that, I can pass along to Jim and Kelsey as well to make sure anyone, who needs this information can get it. So good news is, since the launch of Travel Safe, we've learned just how much cleanliness really counts. So since launch, 166,000 businesses have added Travel Safe data to their listings. And listings with that Travel Safe information experience year-over-year recovery 3 times quicker than listings without that information. And travelers are taking note as well, with over 90% of US reviews referencing the health and safety practices they're encountering. So this is what we have for you. This is what I have for you guys today. You're coming away from this information feeling that there is good out there. I think that there's a lot of great things happening. I'm excited for this next year ahead. And so thank you so much for having me. And again, I'll stay here for questions. And if there's anything that comes up afterwards as well, I'm happy to answer via email.
So Emily, thank you very much for that. Obviously, a lot of very exciting and important information. And if we can say a couple of things about Tripadvisor, we've had a relationship with Tripadvisor going back to the very beginning. We sort of saw different opportunities through Tripadvisor over the years. And now in the recent era where we've been assessing who we need our partners to be, we can't have lots and lots of partners. We need strong partners who have unique roles that can serve our constituency. And obviously Tripadvisor is at the top of that list. So really thank you so much. And a note from my sister, who has 21,000 Tripadvisor followers somehow, because every time she goes to a diner and she likes the milkshake she posts on. But it certainly is a place where we've seen impact from not just the learning that we can do from Tripadvisor and the strategy, but just from individual people acknowledging the strength of some of the offerings in the region. So we look forward to having you guys as a great partner this year. And again, it was a very long process in assessing who we wanted our partners to be. We narrowed it down to 4. And you guys certainly were at the top of the list. It's almost like a unicorn. So thanks for your presentation. And we really look forward to a great year with you guys.
Yeah.
Emily, yes, also thank you. And thank you, Ron. And Emily, a couple of things. Please let's circle back with Kelsey to talk about a couple of the programs that we can move forward with you on. I'd also would appreciate if you could, is it possible for you to send us the deck that you have?
Yeah, I'll absolutely be sharing this deck after.
Terrific. That's awesome because we've picked up a few people on the call, but we do want to make sure all of our stakeholders are part of that. Before we go into some Q&A here, just close out the hour with some questions. I think there's something that's really important. Something that we've always tried to tell our stakeholders is to understand how important the experience of our guests and visitors are to the region, right? And I think COVID and the pandemic will change perhaps the priority order of some of those elements of a visitor's experience. But all of those items are still on the list, right? We can't lose sight of how important it is. And we've, customer service and all the elements, and cleanliness and how we are treating and making people feel welcome as a region. And it's in all of your individual expertise and efforts and benefit to be a part of us making sure that visitors have a great experience no matter where they go. And that's a message that we will continue to say from the MLCVB. We talked about it a lot during Super Bowl when we had our campaign about giving the best hugs to the region and our warm welcome campaign. Those have to be part of our DNA. If I look at, and Pete Cirillo from North Star knows this best because he travels a lot with a lot of the DMO leaders around the country. Everybody talks about their experience, but they all don't deliver. We need to not only talk about what kind of experience people will get here in this destination, but we got to deliver that experience, right? We have to deliver it from the time they get off their airplane, if they're flying at Newark Airport or the other airports, the car service that they're traveling to their hotels, the initial greeting at that hotel, the ability for us to do some itinerary planning and making sure they know all of the great experiences. Liberty Science Center, Medieval Times, American Dream, RPM Raceway, the billiard halls, all these little cute, not only from American Dream, but what about the unique dining experiences and retail experiences on some of the main streets in our area? We have so much to offer. We got to put our arms around all of that because the entire destination as a whole will build your individual business. That's what it is. That's what we have to do best. And that's why Ron, and I think our strategy and some of the things that Emily, you talked about really resonated with me, especially about talking to people that want to, like our Live and Kicking campaign, the more I think about it, I don't like to say it because Ron's in the room, he gets a big head. It's brilliant, right? It's actually brilliant when you think about it because Emily, you reinforced it. People want to go where they feel things are happening, right? And things are good. We're alive and kicking. They're going to take notice of us saying we're alive and kicking. We're doing things for you to come here. And not only is it safe, but it's awesome, right? And that's our mission, ladies and gentlemen. And hopefully you can see that we and the team are passionate about that. And we're like I said earlier, we're going to uncover every stone, overturn every stone to find every opportunity for us to help put heads in your beds. And our things. Let's turn it over to some Q&A here. Who has some questions for Max and for Emily and for Ron or myself and Kelly?
I have a question, Max, and the team. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just curious about. We had some initial meetings and talked about the various markets that come into our Meadowlands area, and just curious about what will be our target markets and the order of them.
It's a great question. Mike, actually, like, do you want to talk, like, when you guys fill out that ICP questionnaire, like, what are the specific geographic regions you guys wanted to start out with? I think that might actually be a good question for Mike and the team.
Yeah, our initial plan was like the 6-hour drive-in type of audience. And Sally had mentioned people who are already vaccinated on that issue as well, along with the corporate travel planners too, was also a #1 issue there for people coming to the corporation's headquarters but needs a place to stay. But also they want to also maybe bring the family there too as well to address and to enjoy all of the amenities around the area. But primarily drive-in focus, 6 hours, regional, 3-night stays.
Thank you.
Are you done, Sally?
Yeah, go ahead, Lauren.
Along those lines, I know that, typically you go after the larger conventions and the big conferences, but this area does have a lot of the smaller box hotels that don't have that meeting or convention space. So I guess you kind of answered the question when you said about coming to visit the corporations in the area, but what about like the smaller meetings, smaller events?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. And one of the things that we've done in looking at this is we've tiered kind of our messaging so that we are going to be accessible in that sense to different types. We have had a lot of focus on large event development, especially through the sports complex. And of course, when you go to meetings where large events are what people are looking to place, you have that focus. The engagement, I guess we would call it, that we have with science has those two edges to it. Of course, we are going to continue to identify those people who have conferences that fit the venues we have in the region, which are not that big. And frankly, when the Meadowlands Expo Center gets busy again, it's going to get really busy again because it's one of those perfect regional sized venues that has hotel support around it and has a size that defines who's going to come. But in terms of, our ability to activate ballroom, meeting room, sort of smaller meetings and engagements where teams are coming together, that is definitely a focus this year. And it naturally should be, right? Because we know that those people who want to travel right now are going to be people who have to travel. They're going to be people who felt bottled up. Corporations are not going to send their huge teams out in the first wave. They're going to send the smaller tactical teams that have to get something done. And that's something that we're going to focus on both in our PR and with our identifications through science.
Yeah, for sure. And you made me think of something else, the area, because of American Dream and everything that has to offer. Incentive trips and team building programs are a great focus for corporations because there's lots of team building opportunities at American Dream where they don't necessarily need meeting space that we can offer them, but cool opportunities to entertain their teams and maybe build some positive momentum for the year coming up.
Hey, Lauren, I am meeting. They just brought a brand new. American Dream just brought a brand new head of marketing who came from the New Jersey Nets.
Yep.
And he's coming to visit the visitor center and to meet with me and Kelsey on Friday.
Oh.
And so we're going to be talking with them, and we understand that they have a lot going on. They were, the last few months they were just trying to get open and get people into the space. So we don't want to sit down and talk strategy with them yet. They were still building their team. They're in fact still building their team of people and individuals there. But we'll have a growing relationship with them for doing those kinds of things, right? Because that's important. That's important to them. Also understand that because retail looks different, right? It looks different today than it did when they first envisioned that project. When they first envisioned the American Dream, there was potentially 400 or 500 retail stores on their mix. Well, they may not get to 400 or 500 retail stores. They may, but right now it could be 300. Well, they have space to do other things. They're going to add more entertainment because entertainment was bringing them in. And frankly, the more entertainment that they add and variety is really good for all of us, right? Because we can soon say, where else can you go and ski in the morning and go swimming in the afternoon and ride a horse watch the horses at medieval times and go to Liberty Science. The variety of destination assets in the region is almost unparalleled, right? And that's the thing that we'll continue to promote in conjunction with American Dream and all of the individual assets, so that all of our different types of properties will find their niche, and we will market to all of those.
Do you want to talk about the meeting we have?
Yeah, please.
So we about 6 weeks or so ago now, we went to American Dream to lay out this strategy that we just laid out for you, to talk a little bit about how they thought that the integration between the CVB and American Dream would work out. And there were 3 very exciting opportunities that came from that. Part of us going back to them and finalizing a plan is actually having this meeting, going back through you guys, getting feedback, making sure that we understand the reaction of our constituents and our stakeholders to what our program is. We're due to go back to them and give them a plan that focuses on 3 things. The first thing is integration with local travel resources, such as your hotels, particularly in the region, who can hold these meetings that they know are going to feed them and that they can feed. So big part of it. The second part of it has to do with engaging their assets, their attractions and stores as members. And so we have a plan for that. And the third part of it is an advocacy plan, because they're a very special player and they need special treatment. And there are times when, between the localities and the state and others, people are making it harder on them than maybe it needs to be. And we should be there to help them be whatever they can be, because that helps us be what we can be, I think is wisely said. So we think that we're going to have for you some news in the next month about our collaboration with them in a more formal way. And that'll be very exciting. One of the things they thought most highly of was our notion that as soon as we do create a plan with them, that it be broadcast nationally, and that people understand that they are working as a collaborator within the region where they sit. So that was all a good sign and a great question, but it does all feed into what we think we're going to be able to accomplish this year.
And Emily, not to leave you out, where do you make sure that your hotel is under the travel safe listing? How do you make sure of that?
Yeah, so if you just log into your listing, there should be a note, like a little button that says travel safe.
Okay.
But otherwise, because you would have to sign up for it, but maybe perhaps someone else did it on your behalf. And if you just went to your listing on Tripadvisor, you should see, there'll be like, I don't know how to describe what it looks like, but it's like a green bar and it says travel safe.
Yeah, I work for a company. My hotel's not open yet, but several of the others are. So I'm just clicking into one of the other hotels to look.
Mm-hmm.
And online, I don't see anything. So does that mean it's not there?
Yeah, because it'd be really hard to not see it, because it's like this green box.
And it would be on the hotel's listing if you click. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're in the hotel. If you want to tell me the hotel, I can look really quickly. And
Residence Inn, East Rutherford.
One other thing though, Jim, I wanted to say is Tim, Ronnie, and the team are really capitalizing those diverse assets on the sports travel market too, and that booming youth sports and the sports marketing is, we got something with the plan with Ronnie too, and with all the diverse assets that the Meadowlands up, it's just going to be a home run. So great stuff there too. It's a blowing up market, and it's really it's the one that's expanding now like crazy. So
What you guys did for us last fall and how we worked together with you on our arrangement was very, very valuable and very appreciated. I don't want that to go unsaid, because as you guys are such great citizens in the marketplace, and you've been loyal to us forever, and we very much appreciate it.
And Allison Best, my counterpart, colleague, is also on the call, and she did the work on the meetings group side. So, you know, North Star is a Meadowlands based company too. So we always take care of the home team.
Attaboy, Pete. Allison, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were on the call. Thanks for being with us. All right, who else? Who else got, do we have time for another question? Any other questions for Max or Emily or us and our team? All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was good. This was really great today. Max, thank you so much for toughing this out. Please feel better. I know we got a call, a messaging call with your team tomorrow scheduled, so or Thursday scheduled. So thank you for that. We really look forward to where we're going. Emily, let's circle back with you, me, and Kelsey on some of the Tripadvisor programs, and more importantly, to those of you that are our stakeholders. Please stay engaged with us. We're going to continue as this rolls out. We're not far away from launching everything that we're doing with Science and our other partners at North Star and Tripadvisor and CVent. You know, like I said, we're gonna go after this aggressively, optimistically, but your feedback and information is critically important to us as well. So have an awesome day. Stay safe out there. Get vaccinated, and know that we're here doing everything we can to put heads in beds and bring people back to the Meadowlands. So thank you, everybody.
Hey guys, much appreciated. Thank you.
Have an awesome day.